Retro Rocks gaming videos.
Big ass game controller, tiny little screen. Big ass game controller, tiny little screen. They should not be together, no matter whatever. Big ass controller, tiny screen. Alright, enough of that. Let's talk about this big ass controller for a minute. This is the Pelican Real Arcade Universal Tournament Ready controller. By universal, what they mean is it will work on your PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2. Hold on for a warning about that. The GameCube. And, of course, the Xbox. I've heard of people adapting the Xbox over to a Dreamcast controller. So apparently that can happen. That seems to be pretty reputable. But anyway, that's where they get the universal out of. Those are the systems it'll function on. Now, I'm going to give you a warning. Okay, right away. Do not use this on a PS2. I've heard a whole lot of rumbling in reviews and forums that the controller either quit working right away with a PS2 within a couple days, or that it blew out the rumble function on their controller, and that is a real thing. I've checked it. It's multi-sourced. It's not just one people. It's a whole lot of people, and Pelican even accepted returns on it for that. Now, what's happening is the Pelican controller didn't actually die. What it did is it killed the rumble function on the PS2. So while this was fine, it wouldn't work because it uses... apparently it uses the same power line as the rumble function does. I don't know why it does it like that, but it does. And that ends up blowing out the rumble function on the PS2. Now, I know there's going to be a few people out there, I've been using it for years, never had a problem. That's nice. You know what? Some people are really, really lucky. Luck is not smart. That is luck, okay? So do yourself a favor. If you got a PS2, don't do it. And since you're not going to frickin' listen to me, at the very least, if you buy this for your PS2, for God's sake, don't plug it in while it's on. That is like a really dumb thing to do. All right. That said, no problems with the PS1. I had it plugged into the PlayStation 1. Absolutely no problems whatsoever. Nothing reported about that. So you can plug it into your PlayStation 1, no problem. It's just the PS2. It seems to happen a lot on the Slims, but I've heard of it happening on the big ones too. So just avoid that. Other consoles, no problem. So, back to it. Let's talk about the buttons and the stick. Okay, well, the buttons and the stick are pretty much arcade quality. I've actually been in this thing because when I got it, my wife got it for $5, which I think is just crazy. My wife got it for $5, and all the buttons were stuck in, pretty much. And I repaired them exactly how I repair arcade controllers that have the same problem. Basically, I take the button apart and I clean it out. Now, on a home machine, that's a real problem because they're sealed and they're not really meant to be opened, and it's a big pain in the butt to try and clean out most home systems controllers. But on this, because it's an arcade-style controller, it was really easy. It only took me about a half hour. Everything is working perfectly now. Same with the stick. I would say that the stick and the controllers are all the buttons are all kind of on the mushy side. They make a great click, and you can hear that. It's got a great clicking noise. They are on the mushy side. That isn't outside of arcade spec. I've seen arcade machines that are like that. However, you might want to note that if you like more of a very stiff feel to your buttons, you might want to replace the springs on these. Cheap thing to do, honestly. And yeah, you could replace these with new arcade buttons if you wanted to that are all one color. Do whatever you want. It's really simple to get inside it. It's about 6 screws on the bottom. And yeah, you'll be in and you can replace them. Not a big deal. All right, so the buttons. Basically these are all the buttons on your controller. The start and select buttons are there. This mode button, what this does is it changes this stick from being the D-pad over to one of the analog sticks, basically. So that's what the function of that is. It'll change which joystick it's being. That's useful in games that don't support one or the other. So you'll press it, and the light will come on, and there will be another mode. I know a lot of people don't mention this. What is here is a little diagram. Usually it was a little cardboard. It might have been plastic. I don't know. I haven't actually witnessed one in person. But there's a little diagram here, and it would show you which game system you're running on, basically, and you would be able to just know what the buttons did. So it was no big deal. It was just a little card that you'd slide in there. So if you had a PS2, you'd have a PS2 card with the controls on there. If you had a PS2, yeah, I said PS2. All right, Xbox, you'd have an Xbox One that would fit in there. It would come with all three, and you'd be able to swap out between them. As far as the body construction goes, it's made out of what feels like arcade particle board. It's pretty nice. Mine's a little bit beat up, but it looks pretty good. If you look at the bottom here, you can see mine has been opened, obviously, and I've replaced these foot pads on the bottom so it'll stick to a table. This is not very comfortable on my lap, so I recommend just placing it on a table when you're playing it. Just saying. If you look on the side here, right here is a space for Xbox memory card. And on some models, not mine, there is a storage unit right here. And the idea of that storage unit is you can coil up your cable and put it in there. But I don't have that, unfortunately. Alright, so how big is it? Well, let's compare it to some comparable sticks. Alright, they're not really comparable. But let's take a look at this quick shot I reviewed a couple months ago. There's that. It just kind of fits in it. Oh, look. It's a little spoon. Aww. Alright, so that's, yeah, nowhere near as big. Let's take a look at the Geo Aes Controller. There's that thing, which is known as a behemoth, but no, not as big as this guy. I really want to get different buttons on this. Anyway, there's a Neo Geo controller next to it. Also, here's Sega's fighting stick. Look at that. Just nothing. Nothing like it. That's just crazy. And then finally, I'm going to show you it next to my big old D-pad. Yeah, my big old D-pad. There it is. So yeah, look at that. That just looks ridiculous. It's like this thing's a toy or something. Alright, so anyway, have I played some games on it? Yes, I have played some games on it. Personally, I gotta tell you, I prefer it on shooting games, like side-scrolling shooters and vertical shooters. I like that kind of game, though, more than I generally like fighting games. I've tried it on a couple fighting games. I think I've just played with a D-pad for so long on fighting games that I have a harder time controlling this. I'm absolutely sure somebody who's really good at fighting games is going to have a great time with this. I found it a little bit clumsy for me, but like I said, it's a question of what you're used to. With old-style arcade games, this thing is freaking great. It feels just like an arcade controller, which it should because it was a really expensive controller. In fact, it's about $80 right now if you want to buy it. So, yeah, pretty impressive. I've had a really good time using it, and I enjoy it. The only problem I really see that is a real negative is the fact that it does tend to hose up PlayStation 2s, and that is a big problem for PS2 owners. So, again, I'm going to give it a thumbs up if you own a PlayStation 1, thumbs up if you own an Xbox, thumbs up if you own a GameCube, but run the hell away if you got a PS2. And remember, if you just don't listen to me and you buy this, for God's sake, turn off your PS2 before you plug it in. It's the least you can do. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe for more. If there's anything else you'd like to see on my station, do me a favor, write it down below. Thanks for watching.
Retro Rocks Gaming Videos.